on it, which is really annoying. So, yeah, it's just there to drive me crazy every day. And it doesn't move. Someone's like, cover it up, and it stays there. Like, Smart Notebook's smarter than that. So, so our center in this case, remember, it's kind of like the opposite of what it looks like. So this looks like a -2, but since there's a minus sign, it's going to be +2. And then this one looks positive, but it's actually going to be -1. So that's going to be the center of my circle that I can just pull out of this equation. So I'll put that in my graph here. So there's the center of my circle. Then my radius, again, this is over here, they give me r squared. R squared. So r is going to end up being just 4, right? Because it's the square root of 16, which is just 4. Now sometimes r will be a decimal, and so you just have to estimate about where it is. So it's okay if it's not a nice whole number. So what we're going to do is we can count 4 out in like 4 directions. We can use the graph to help us with that. So we can go 1, 2, 3, 4 out. I can go 1, 2, 3, 4 up. I can't go diagonally because I can't count diagonally. And then I can go down. And then I'll just sketch my graph, and again, just do your best. I'm not going to judge you on your circle drawing, but usually they end up looking like lopsided squares. So that's how we graph our circle. And I'll do one more example with you guys, and then the rest should be online to kind of get you going with that. So again, we're doing the same thing, except this equation's not written like the way we would expect it. So there's not a lot we have to do, but the y-squared does have to be over on the other side, so we're going to move that over first. So and then there's a decimal for our radius, and that's okay, because that can happen. So what's our center in this case? So the center in this one's going to be, what do you think? Yeah, -4, 0. So the -4 comes from the opposite sign of that x coordinate, and then the y doesn't have anything added or subtracted, so it's just on the axis then. So -4, 0 is my center. So I'll put that on here. And then my radius is the square root of this decimal, but that's not really all that bad once you try it. So we're going to take the square root of 20.25, and it's just 4.5. And again, don't do that. 4.5, clearly. So I'm just going to count out like 4.5. And if it was 4.3, we just count out as close as we can to that. It's just an estimate. Again, it's not like I'm measuring your circle to make sure that you go exactly where it's said. So I have my circle drawn. Now this last point is part of what they're going to ask you to do in the homework. They said estimate another point on the circle and then check to see how close you got. The homework says the same thing, but it probably says it in a lot more words. It says other than the 4 corners. And what they mean by the 4 corners is the dots we drew. What we're going to try and do is estimate about where kind of looks like a good point. What I mean by that is I thought this side of my circle looked like it was drawn pretty good. So that point would look like a good point to check and see, am I close to my equation? Am I kind of in the right ballpark here? So what we're going to do is we're going to test this point. And so that point I count over, it's -8, 2. And I want to see if that makes sense for my equation. Am I even in the right quadrant? Am I doing the right thing here? So what they're giving you here is, or what we picked, is an x and y. We're gonna check that in our equation. So going back to our equation of a circle up here, so -8 plus 4. So I'm putting this in as my x, and then y is just, we chose it as 2. And I want to see, is it close to 20.25, or how close is it? So it's just kind of like just checking to see, are we like doing this, like are we like doing a good job of our graph? So this ends up being 16, this is 4. So we're within 0.25. So we're 20 equals 20.25. We're pretty close. We're probably, our circle's drawn pretty well then. Like if we were way off, like if this was like 5, like I would hope we'd question, like is our circle drawn correctly? So that's what you guys needed to do for that part.